Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time today. Man, what a week. We have had one busy week here, but you know what? God has been so good to us. The weather has been perfect. The mornings has been cool, the days has been okay, light breeze blowing, guys. We're able to work and get a lot done. It has been fantastic. The thing I wanted to talk about today is the things that are just slipping away. You know, Wanda and I were on our way to town the other day, and we were talking about how that so many people now are just disrespectful to other people. As we was in town, we were noticing people and how they treated other people, and we noticed the disrespect that that was shown. But on the other hand, we turned right around and we noticed how chivalry was still intact. As I was sitting at the post office and one was going and taking Etsy orders in and stuff, the guys were opening doors for the women and stuff like that, and the women would say thank you and things like that. Guys, these are some things that are slipping away today. We live in a world that seems to be full of hatefulness, and that's the one thing that Wanda and I try so much to steer away from, is actual just being hateful. Let me just go ahead and say this. A lot of y'all that watch our channel know that we're dealing with an issue with the neighbors that have barking dogs. And almost, maybe not every night, but almost every night, probably 5 nights out of 7 during the week, I'm woke up anywhere between 1:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning by, when I say barking dogs, I'm talking about a pack of hunting, or they call them hunting dogs, they never hunt, but they're the hunting variety dogs, just screaming at the top of their lungs. At what? I have no clue, because it's dark. And then when I'm awake, and I'm really aggravated because it happens like 4 or 5 times a week. And I've shot tons of video footage of these barking dogs. I have a library of over a year of this happening here at Deep South Homestead. And when I get up and I come in the morning, I literally will binge watch for an hour, 2 hours, sometimes, of just videos about neighbors with obnoxious barking dogs. And if I'm not careful, like I mentioned on my last Porch Time, if I'm not careful, I'll get caught in a rabbit hole. And I get to going down watching these things. I get to binge watching them, and I may watch 25 videos, non-stop about neighbors who have problems with barking dogs, because I'm looking for a solution for this thing. Now, I am working with the law, trying to come up with some kind of a solution. That's why I'm shooting all the video footage that I shoot of them. And I'm hoping they don't go to barking during this video. I'm hoping I can get this video up without it. That's why a lot of times we go into the studio room to shoot our videos a lot of times, is because sometimes these dogs will go for 5 to 6 hours at a time. Well, to tie this in with my video, some things are just slipping away. Used to, you could have went to those neighbors and you could have talked to them and told them, says, man, this is a problem. And neighbors would have understood, and they'd have said, well, I'm sorry, and they would have done something about it. But the world we live in today, people just don't care, Like in my last Porch Time video, I was alluding to that when I talked about dogs. I was talking about, we have this issue with barking dogs here. We have I watch all these videos on barking dogs, and I'm amazed at the views that they get. Just by a lot of the videos I watch, the owner just sits there and holds the camera at the fence, and the dog just barks for like 10 minutes, and they get a lot of views for that. And that's what I was alluding to in my last Porch Time, was these videos about people who have dog videos and they get lots of views. And I was making the comment to Wanda, and I made it in my last Porch Time, was wouldn't it be wonderful if people would give that much attention to some homesteading channel who's planting carrots or planting asparagus or whatever they're planting, about growing your own food. Wouldn't it be great if homesteaders could get those kinds of views, is the point that I was making in that video. But no, not in the world we live in today. The world we live in today is all about, it's all hyped up, you know. It wants to, it just wants to be excited. And those dogs barking excites people, and they click on them, you know. And I'm guilty. I clicked on it. Of course, I'm looking for a solution, but which I have not found yet, let me tell you. We still have to deal with that. But you know, I also watched a video with Phil Roberts. I love Phil Roberts. I mean, from Duck Dynasty, guys. I love the man. I mean, I fit right in with him, you know. And he was talking about men on that video, and I really liked what he said. And we have a problem today with men who are men. You know, I remember back when I was a kid, you know, boy, you respected elderly people. That's something. If someone's older than you, man, I don't care if they're wrong. You better not say nothing about that person, because if you do, your daddy's going to bust your tail. You know? My daddy'd always tell me, I'm trying to remember the exact, this is kind of funny, my daddy would always say, and it's hard to remember the exact words, but he would say, son, I'm going to hit you where the good Lord splits you. And don't you be the posterior end of a long-eared animal. Because my daddy was a very religious man. He didn't want to use slang words, you know, and he would always come up with these, and I'd be sitting there, I'm like, trying to, you know, freaking out, trying to figure out what he was talking about. But, you know, my dad was one of the kind, if he told you something, you better listen to him, because if you didn't get a second chance. Second time he's going to show you, you know. And if you dared, if they was elderly people or older people sitting around talking, and if you was a kid and you dare walk into that room and say something and interrupt their conversation, my daddy's going to take you out right there. He's going to take a belt and he's going to wear your butt out. You know, and my dad always told me, he said, son, you ever interrupt me, it better be an emergency. Because if it ain't, it's going to be an emergency. So, you know, these things are slipping away. That type of mentality, that's the reason on the live stream the other night, I made the comment that Amanda from Freedom Acres is really helping me try to understand the millennial generation of people in their late 20s to late 30s and stuff like that. I don't get them. I wasn't raised to be like that. I was raised kind of hard. I said what was on my heart. You know, I just, whatever I felt, I said. If it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. You know, get over it, move on. That's the way I was raised. And Amanda's kind of helping me with that a little bit. She, you know, because I'll say things when she's around, and she'll say, Danny, you can't say that. And I'm like, well, why not? And she said, well, you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And I'm like, well, when I was growing up, people didn't worry about hurting somebody's feelings. You just told them how it was. And they were like, well, okay. You know, they might get mad, but they got over it. You know, and she said, people, the millennial people, a lot of them are sensitive people. You know, a lot of them wear the feelings on their shirt sleeves. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm learning that really quick. That people, I don't understand them. I don't get them. I'm kind of like Phil on that now. You know what I mean? These guys run around out here popping off and saying all this stupid stuff. You know, I can't say. I'm gonna have to say I'm guilty, because when I was a younger man, yeah, I popped off a lot. You know, I'm not gonna lie about that. But once I got to reading the Bible a lot, you know, Apostle Paul in the Bible talked about when I was a child, I spake as a child. Now that I'm going to paraphrase it, now that I'm grown up, I put childish things behind me. And that's kind of the way I live, you know. And it don't fit in. It don't fit in with the world today. And I'm learning that on YouTube a lot. You know, I mean, it's one of those things. Wanda and I have laughed this past week about all the comments on our videos. We have died laughing because of all the comments that was made because of hurt feelings. And when the videos was not even about what they said it was about, you know, I mean, I'm not even going to go into arguing with them, because if they want to believe that, they can believe it. The dog videos I was talking about was the ones I talked about at the beginning of this, where I binge watch all these stupid dog videos about barking because I'm woke up by barking dogs. And, you know, I'm amazed at, I'm disappointed in some people, I'll say that, about what they've said, what they've done, you know, things like that. I'm kind of disappointed in some of them, because, you know, some of them I thought a lot of. And matter of fact, Wanda had to come to me and ask me who some of them even were. She didn't even know them, and that because we don't really watch them that much. And I was like, I'd have to tell her who they were, and I told her, and she says, but you weren't actually addressing that at all. And I said, I know, they're just, let them be, you know, and that's the way I want it. I'm not going to apologize for nothing I said because I wasn't talking about them. That goes back to being, some things are just slipping away. The old way of thinking is just out the window. I mean, we've moved into this new generation that I'm a little bit worried about. You know, used to, families got together, they sat around on the weekends on their porches, or they went fishing, or they had a big meal together, done this kind of stuff, and the families all just enjoyed one another's company and things like that. And guys, look, now I look around me, most families, including my own, can't even get along. You know, everybody's at everybody's throat, which I have to say is biblical, because the Bible plainly says in the latter days, and I didn't say the end of the world, but I said in the latter days of an age, that the love of many will wax cold, and men's heart will fail them for fear. You know, there's all kinds of things that the scriptures has to say about this, and it's true. It's happening all around us. You know, I try not to say anything about anybody in particular. You know, there are those that probably need something said about them, but I'm not going to be the one to do it, I don't think. I said, because it's just not who I am. You know, Wanda and I live out here. We try to live a peaceful, quiet life, and we try not to bother nobody. I know the camera just went out of focus, and I don't know why. I was sitting there having to look at it, and it was. I hope y'all forgive that for happening. But there's so many things that's slipping away today. The respect, the yes ma'am, yes sir, you don't hear that anymore. You know, the respect for the men who serve in the armed forces. You know, I highly respect anybody who served in the armed forces. I don't, even if they've said things against me and they've served this country, I still respect them. you know, and I still have strong feelings for that, and I'll say thank you uh, for your service, you know, because or someone who puts their life on the line out there every day with the law. You know, I got friends here who do it every day, and I have the most respect for anybody who puts their life on the line for the law. I mean, there's law officers here, they don't like me, but I respect what they do, you know, and if somebody don't like me, I don't care. I still will respect what you do. I'm not going to condemn you for that. And I think that that's something that's lacking in our society today is the lack of patriotism, the lack of respect for those that are in authority. There's just a falling away of people, and I don't actually understand everything that's going on or why it's going on. I know that it's just happening, and I keep noticing the camera keeps going in and out of focus. I think what it is because it's getting dark on me, and the camera's having a hard time finding me, I believe is what it is. So I'm going to actually try to move over a little bit to the side. I don't know if that's going to help because it's getting dark on me while I'm doing this. But guys, you know, just try to understand that today in the world that we live in, people just seem like they want to be hateful all the time. And you know, I made a comment on Porch Time the other day. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, and I wasn't trying to be hateful. I was talking about clickbait, and I was trying to figure out a way to tie this part in with things that are slipping away. And it's just, I think the way I can do it is by saying that a lot of people today are just hateful, and they make bad comments. Well, my comment on clickbait was not intended to be hateful. My comment on clickbait was made because I myself am guilty of watching clickbait, is what I'm trying to say. There's two channels, and I'm going to name them, and I may get in trouble for this, I don't know, but there's two channels I used to watch. I ain't going to say I used to watch them, I binge watched them. I'd catch myself 2 hours later sitting there still looking at these channels, and they're great people. You know, there's one of them was Cody at Greenstalk. Cody and his wife have a Bible channel, have a Bible time that they would do Bible, and I love that. I would sit and watch that because sometimes it'd be 45 minutes long, and I'd sit there the whole time watching it, listening, because Cody and them, I just love them to death, you know. And then I just caught myself every time looking for videos of his because he was using a lot of clickbait, and he admitted that. And I was caught in a rabbit hole watching them, and it was luring me away from my time on the homestead here. And I had to unsubscribe from them, not because they were bad people, but because I had a problem with watching them because of their titles. And the other one was Pure Life for Living. You know, Jesse and Alyssa, I'm not going to lie to you, I was caught up in their house building because I did construction for 26 years, and I love construction. Now, I don't know if y'all can hear those dogs in the background, but they're fixing to start, seems like. But I love construction, and I love any kind of construction. I was watching, I would catch myself getting up every morning just to see the new video that they put out, and I look at the thumbnail and I'm like, okay, and I'd catch myself an hour or two between Greenstalk and Pure Life for Living. I would catch myself being 2 hours watching their videos because of the titles and trying to figure out what they were doing, what was going on. And, guys, that's what I was talking about clickbait. I wasn't talking about anybody in particular. I was talking about my problem with clickbait. There's nothing wrong with Cody and his wife. They're great people. Jesse and Alyssa's doing what they do. They're building a home. It was me who had a problem with the clickbait. It wasn't that I was condemning anybody. I was trying to be respectful by not calling any names, but other people jumped to conclusions thinking that I was talking about them. And yes, I'm going completely out of the picture, sitting here in the dark because it's getting dark. And you just have to watch me in the dark, okay? That's all I can say. But I wanted to clarify that, because a lot of things are slipping away today. People assume a lot of stuff that's just not accurate at all. Now, this week, mosquitoes are starting to get bad. This week, we gained a lot of subscribers. And hey, that tickles a fool out of me. We lost a couple, here and there. But I looked at our analytics, and we actually gained a lot of subscribers this week. And guys, that's a blessing, I was happy for that. And I'm happy for anybody who gains subscribers, not just us. I mean, I'm trying to be as respectful as I can be, and not go overboard, because that's some of the things that's missing in society today. Is people are rude, they're hateful, they make vicious comments. I've seen here in my garden, I have had people stop on the road and make horrible comments to me, and totally uncalled for. And I've seen people in town. I watched a man and a woman in town screaming and hollering at each other in front of their kids, and guys, I thought that was so wrong. I thought about, wow, my mom and daddy argued a lot, and I grew up in a home where there was a lot of arguing. Wanda, on the other hand, her parents never argued in front of them. She didn't know what it was when she got out in married life to know what arguments was even about. And now that's a blessing right there. I wish today, in our society today, we could go back to that kind of lifestyle where parents were respectful enough that they didn't argue in front of their kids. If they had a problem, they went off somewhere and they settled it between the two of them. And I'm sorry, I gotta tell a story right quick. Me sitting here, and y'all not hardly being able to see me, reminded me of a time I went over to an elderly neighbor's house, and he and I were sitting there talking. It was kind of like what just happened here. It was daylight, and then it got dark, and we went inside, and me and him was sitting in his living room talking, and it was pitch black. And we were sitting there just carrying on a conversation for almost an hour. And his wife came in, and she heard us talking, and she walked in and she flipped the light on, and she said, I'm not going to call his name, but she said, now, I can't believe you two men are sitting here in the dark carrying on a conversation. Neither one of you can see each other. And he said, well, I don't want to look at Danny. And I didn't know how to take that at first, but he was a lot older man than I was, and then I found it to be kind of humorous. It was kind of funny. But me sitting here and just fading out like this is kind of reminded me of that story. A lot of you say you just like to hear me talk. Well, you can't see me now, so I guess you're just going to listen to me talk. But guys, look, we need to just get back to some of the old ways in life. Now, I'm not saying all the old ways were good, but there's a lot of the older ways, like Phil said in his video, there's a lot of the older ways that was good. Daddies did a lot of things with their kids. Mama's done a lot of things with their kids. You ride down the highway, you always waved when you passed somebody on the road, or if somebody was broke down, you stop and try to help them. If you saw a lady at the grocery store, she was older lady pushing her groceries to the car, you go help her put her groceries in the car, you take them to the car for her, just things like that. And this type of stuff is just, I don't know, it's just gone, guys. Every day I look around me and I try to figure out how to make this world a better place. That's why Wanda and I do things like Deep South Homestead gathering place. You know, we have that on Facebook, and we try to bring people together to fellowship with one another, to find like-minded people, people that love the Lord, and people that can get along with each other. And you know, if you can't get along with me, and you don't agree with things that I talk about, you don't agree with things I say, please leave. Please unsubscribe from me, because I don't want you to feel that way about me, and I don't want to have hard feelings with you. Excuse me, a mosquito just went down my throat. Anyway, that's going to be kind of bad now. I'm going to leave this in the video though, but this is real. I'm not making this crap up. This bug went right down my throat. Anyway, if I can get back to where I can talk. You know, I'm only looking for, I'm looking for a certain kind of people over on my channel. People who love the Lord. People who don't mind someone who says what's on their mind. If you can't handle that, then you probably need to go somewhere else, because that's the kind of person I am. I don't mean to be rude, I'm not trying to be hard. It's just the way I was raised. And it's not trying to be disrespectful in any way. You know, if Amanda was here, she'd probably be slapping me right now, telling me, you can't say that. But I gotta say it because it's the way I was raised, you know. And guys, I do care about each and every one of y'all. I do. I never intend to say anything to hurt anybody. Words may come out of my mouth sometimes that seems to be hurtful, but they're really not intended to be. I just was raised in a different era. And there's a lot of you older ones on here who watch me that know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's a lot of, man, Amanda's helping me with a lot of the millennials, because we're actually gaining a lot of millennials on our channel. And I don't want to offend them by talking the way older people talked. And Amanda's really helping me with that, because a lot of times I do open mouth and insert foot with the younger generation. Not intentionally, it just happens, because I'm used to talking to the older generation of people. And are y'all still sitting here listening to me? Because I can't even see me on the camera. So, okay. Anyway, guys, look, I've gone on long enough. We need to get back to just loving each other, loving the Lord, being kind to one another, being good to each other, and just trying to build up fellow YouTubers and not break them down. You know, that was, and I will say this again, that was not the intent of my last Porch Time. I hope I've clarified about the dogs, because it was about me binge watching barking dog videos. And the channels I was talking about at Clickbait was Wrangle Star, and it was Pure Life for Living, and I'm not downing them. The problem wasn't them, the problem was me. And that's what I was talking about. So if anybody got their feelings hurt about that, I'll tell you like my dad used to tell me, get over it, because it ain't what you thought. And then move on, you know. But I'm going to get off of here since you can't see me anymore. And I'm going to be like the old gentleman was. I know you probably didn't want to see me to start with. So, and it's no hard feelings. I completely understand, because that's the way I was raised. So guys, I'm going to have to go get this bug out of my throat. And guys, I know y'all probably laughing on the other end, and I will later on. But y'all have a blessed evening, and I love each and every one of you. And thank you for watching Porch Time. Thank you, Deep South Homestead.